Try this one silent trick and watch how people instantly start respecting you. Some men don't need to raise their voice, explain themselves, or prove anything. The moment they walk in, people feel it. It's not charisma, it's not luck, it's presence. The kind of presence that makes conversations shift, the kind that slows down the room without effort. They don't speak, and yet the energy bends around them. It's not something they do, it's something they've become. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now tell me the truth. How many times have you been the opposite of that? You walk into a space and nobody notices. You try to speak and they talk over you. You try to be kind, to be nice, and it makes you forgettable. It hurts, because deep down you know that something is missing. You've been told to be polite, to be friendly, to smile more, and now you wonder why no one respects you, why people don't feel your presence, why women overlook you, why men dominate the space you try to fit into. You don't need more words, you need more silence, but the right kind. Because there's silence that makes you invisible, and silence that forces people to bow. Most men confuse the two. They hide, they shrink, and they call it humility. But real silence isn't absence. It's dominance held in tension. And when used right, it becomes a psychological weapon. Weak men speak too fast. They try to fill the air with noise, hoping someone listens, hoping to be accepted. They don't realize that they're leaking power with every sentence, desperate for approval, bleeding validation in every gesture, every laugh, every unnecessary explanation. But the most powerful men do something different. They wait, they move slower, they speak less, they hold the silence, they let others fill it. And the longer they wait, the more the world leans toward them. Not because they're arrogant, but because they're unshakable. The truth is, people don't respect loud men. They remember the quiet one who made them uncomfortable without even trying. The one whose stillness exposed their own need to perform. The one who controlled the pace of the room with a glance, a pause, a delay. And that's the trick. One silent move. One shift in how you hold yourself, how you pause, how you breathe. And the room recalibrates. They don't know why they respect you, but they do. And once it happens, it's hard to undo. This is not a gimmick. It's not a script. It's not something you memorize. It's something you embody. And when you do, they will treat you differently. Every time you walk in, you think people judge you based on your words. But they don't. They judge you before you even open your mouth. They watch how you walk, how you sit, how you hold your shoulders, how long you take to respond. They pick up on your energy, your rhythm, your stillness, or your lack of it. This happens in milliseconds. Before your first sentence is even complete, you've already been classified. Social interactions are war zones of invisible categories: dominant, submissive, leader, follower, background noise. Every room you enter scans you and assigns you a rank. You don't see it, but you feel it. You feel when people look past you, when they interrupt you, when they pretend to listen. That's not coincidence. That's positioning. And once you're placed at the bottom, it's nearly impossible to climb out. Most people walk through life unaware of these silent evaluations. They believe they're being ignored because they didn't say the right thing. But that's a lie. They were dismissed long before words even mattered. Because respect is decided in posture, timing, restraint, not logic. The world doesn't reward words. It rewards vibes. And the strongest vibes come from controlled silence, from body language that doesn't flinch, from movements that don't seek approval, from presence that doesn't ask for permission to exist. The average man speaks too soon, too fast, too much. He tries to sound confident, but he overshoots. He tries to be friendly, but he collapses into servitude. He tries to prove his value, and ends up proving his insecurity. And every attempt to be accepted becomes another mark of weakness. This is how society filters the powerful from the powerless. Not with money, not with status, but with signal reading. The subconscious human instinct to detect hierarchy in seconds. That's what controls the room. Not what you say, but what you radiate. If you nod too often, if your eyes dart around, if your speech rises at the end of sentences, you're leaking status. If you apologize too much, qualify your opinions, or rush to fill silence, you're branding yourself as subordinate. And the brutal part is, you don't even realize it. They respect you when they sense you don't need their validation, when your silence is heavier than their noise, when your pauses make them question their own importance. That's not arrogance. That's nonverbal authority, and it's rare, because most men were trained to believe that respect is earned by being liked. But in the real world, being liked often means being tolerated. Being respected means being remembered. And silence, mastered silence, creates memory. It leaves a mark. So if people don't respect you, it's not because you're not smart enough. It's because your entire presence tells them you're willing to accept being beneath them. You're signaling submission, and they're just responding. Every day, men destroy their own presence without knowing it. They walk into a room already apologizing with their body. They laugh too soon. They speak too fast. Their eyes look for approval before they say a word. And in those tiny, unconscious moments, they surrender all power. Weakness doesn't announce itself loudly. It leaks in hesitation, in filler words, in nervous smiles, in the desperate urge to be liked. Most men were trained to believe that communication is about sharing, but they never learned that communication is also about framing power. When you rush to respond, when you explain too much, when you soften your words to avoid discomfort, you're telling the room one thing: I don't belong here unless you let me. And once that's your energy, even your best ideas fall flat, because your presence already lost the battle. They don't remember what you said. They remember how your posture collapsed before you even opened your mouth. And the more you talk, the worse it gets. Because in the silent space between your words, you're revealing the truth. You're seeking permission to exist. And here's the brutal truth. Those who seek to be accepted are rarely respected. Respect is magnetic. Approval is transactional. When you chase approval, people feel superior to you. When you radiate confidence without effort, people lean in, even if they don't know why. Have you ever watched a man explain himself over and over, even when no one asked him to? That's what insecurity sounds like. Have you ever seen someone nervously overperform in a conversation, trying to prove they're interesting? That's not confidence. That's submission in disguise. The worst part is, most men don't even know they're doing it. They think they're being friendly. But what they're really doing is auditioning for social acceptance, and every gesture becomes another reason to be dismissed. Here's where the shift begins. Stop speaking to be liked. Speak to frame reality. Every sentence, every pause, every gesture should come from the posture of someone who doesn't need approval to exist. Someone who is already enough, whether they're noticed or not. Because when you stop chasing connection, the room starts chasing you. And here's something most will never understand. The less you try to impress, the more unforgettable you become. Most men will hear this and keep talking fast, keep explaining themselves, keep trying to be the nice guy. But a few, the silent few, will feel it. They'll know this was never about tips or tricks. It was about rewiring the way they move through the world. If that's you, keep going. You're not like the rest. Here's what I want you to do. The next time someone asks you a question, don't answer immediately. Don't flinch, don't rush. Just pause. Hold the silence for 2 seconds, maybe 3. Keep your gaze steady. Let it feel uncomfortable. Then speak, slowly, deliberately, like your words were chosen with surgical precision. That pause is your weapon. It breaks the rhythm of social interaction. It tells the other person, you don't control the pace, I do. And in that moment, everything changes. They lean in, they adjust, they follow. Because you're no longer reacting, you're commanding. Weak men fear silence. They rush to fill it. They think if they don't speak, they'll lose attention. But powerful men know the truth. The longer you wait, the more they crave your voice. The silence becomes tension. The tension becomes control. When you pause, you create anticipation. People start wondering what you're about to say. They give your words more weight before you've even spoken. And when you finally do speak, slowly, without seeking validation, your voice hits harder than anything else in the room. This is how you dominate without raising your voice. You don't overpower. You don't interrupt. You don't perform. You simply exist with gravity. You say less. But when you speak, people listen because they've been waiting for it, and waiting creates value. Imagine a conversation where everyone rushes to make their point. Now imagine one man who doesn't chase the mic. He waits, he observes, and when he finally speaks, the room resets. That man owns the space, not because he's loud, but because he's rare. That's what silence does. It turns ordinary words into commands. It shifts the power dynamic without needing confrontation. It forces others to respect the space you take up, because you're not fighting for it. You're holding it. Now, try this once. Just once. In a meeting, in a conversation, in a negotiation. When they speak, let them finish. Then pause. Feel the weight of it. Let the silence stretch, and watch how they shift. Watch their body language. Watch their eyes. Watch their posture lean toward yours. You'll feel it immediately. A subtle change, like gravity pulling in your direction. Like the room giving you space without asking. That's not magic. That's psychology. And it works, every time. Most will ignore this. They'll keep chasing attention with noise. But you, try it. Feel the shift. Once you do, you'll never go back to rushing again. Think about the most powerful people you've seen. In movies, in meetings, in history. The men who walk slow, speak less, blink less. The ones who don't chase the room's attention, but end up owning it completely. That's not coincidence. That's the result of psychological discipline. Power moves slowly. It doesn't flinch, it doesn't hurry. It observes, it waits. And when it strikes, it's already won. The reason most people fail to be respected is simple. They rush, they react, they fill space. But true leaders don't compete for presence. They define it. Every pause you take tells the world, I am not desperate for space. Every delay before you speak signals, I don't need to prove anything. Every second of stillness makes people question their own noise. You're not here to be accepted, you're here to be felt. This isn't about faking anything. It's about removing the layers of nervous habits and desperate behavior that kept you small. It's about replacing noise with gravity, movement with stillness, insecurity with timing. You're not performing, you're reprogramming. The more you use silence with intention, the more you'll see the world shift around you. People become more cautious with their words. They don't interrupt, they don't assume. They watch you, waiting. And when they do speak, it's with deference, because you've trained them to respond to your aura, not just your words. This is what separates you from the average man. Most men speak to be heard. You speak when it's time. Most men react. You observe. Most men chase attention. You command the frame. And once this becomes instinct, everything changes. You don't need to explain who you are. The room will feel it. You don't need to demand respect. It will be offered before you arrive. This is dominance in its most elegant form. No yelling, no posturing, just presence. Cold, still, undeniable. You'll notice people speaking softer around you. You'll notice longer silences when you enter a space. That's your new signal. You've become the variable that others adjust to. You've stopped being part of the background. You've become the rhythm itself. And here's the part most men never reach. Consistency. Anyone can have one powerful moment. Few can hold it. Fewer still can live it. But you're not trying to impress anymore. You're building a ritual, a language of control, a posture of unshakable presence. There are two kinds of men, those who talk and those who are listened to, those who perform and those who alter the room without trying. If you've felt the shift by now, you already know which one you were meant to be. Now walk back into the world with this in your bloodstream. Speak less, observe more. When someone expects you to react, delay. When someone pushes, pause. When someone questions you, respond slower than they expect. Let silence stretch. Let their need to fill it expose their weakness. You are no longer a man who performs. You are a man who signals. You don't need approval. You don't need recognition. You only need presence. A presence that speaks before your mouth ever opens. That's the real power, when your energy walks in before you do. The world isn't built for the silent. It favors the loud, the reactive, the needy. But the few who master calm become unpredictable. And what people can't predict, they begin to fear. Not with panic, with respect, with hesitation, with caution. You felt the difference in how they look at you, in how they pause before responding, in how their voice changes when your gaze doesn't move. That's not coincidence. That's dominance, expressed in silence. Use it wisely. This isn't a party trick. It's a posture, a psychology, a tool that must be sharpened daily. Because once you become the man who doesn't rush, the man who doesn't explain, the man who lets silence speak for him, you become the man people can't ignore. And if that shift has started inside you, protect it. Don't break it with old habits. Don't explain it to those who won't understand. Let your silence evolve into something sacred, a boundary, a frame, a signal to the world that you are no longer available for weakness. The next time you enter a room, ask yourself, am I chasing space or commanding it? Are they hearing me or feeling me? Am I speaking to connect or waiting to control? Most men never ask those questions. Most men keep reacting. Most men keep talking. But you've seen behind the curtain now. You know that the loudest presence is often the weakest, and the quietest man is the one they fear the most. The silent order isn't a channel. It's a signal, a reminder of what you were born to become before the world trained you to shrink. You're not here to be remembered. You're here to be unforgettable. That doesn't start with your voice. It starts with your silence. So go. Let them underestimate you. Let them talk louder. Let them interrupt. You'll answer with stillness. And when the time is right, you'll speak, and they'll finally listen.